Welcome back, Zwifters. Today we're heading straight into the sandbox for race 2 of round 1 in the Zwift Racing League. And no, not that kind of sandbox where your toddler tries to bury the pet cat. Well, maybe. We're talking fine and sandy, a course with more surface changes than a Zwift update. In this recon, I'm going to break down the course, discuss race strategy, both sprint and finishing, the available power-ups, bike choices, and my workout recommendations. So let's get into it. If you are in category A and B, it's 4 laps, 42.7 kilometers or 26.5 miles, and 309.6 meters of elevation. And if you're like me and you're in C or D, it's 3 laps, 32.1 kilometers and 232 meters of climbing. It's mostly flat, but after 3 or 4 laps, the elevation starts to rack up. Okay, let's look at the course. Each lap is a cocktail of terrains. The route consists of 2.8 kilometers of smooth tarmac, or 27%, 1.3 kilometers of wooden bridges, 12%, 2.9 kilometers of dirt, or roughly 28%, and finally 3.5 kilometers of sand, or 34%. But here's the twist. Sand rolls exactly like tarmac in Zwift. So despite looking like you're dragging your bike through Bondi Beach, it's no worse than your average road. This means that 3/4 of the course will roll the same as tarmac, which we'll discuss when we get into the bike selection further in this video. Power-ups. In this race, there are 2 power-ups, so every sprint banner gives you a power-up. But at Zwift, so it's kind of random. Aero boost, 15 seconds, 75% chance. This is the golden ticket for sprint finishers. You'll want this locked and loaded for every sprint segment. And the steamroller, 30 seconds, and you've got 25% chance of getting this. Super handy on dirt because it turns the chunky resistance into smooth tarmac. Everywhere else, it's pretty much useless. Outside of the dirt sections, the steamroller is just Zwift's way of teaching you disappointment management. Scoring. Now here's the scoring catch. Most of the points are for the first across the line, which are available on every segment of every lap, and the team with the most foul points will most likely win this. Fastest through segment points? Yeah, you get them, but they aren't worth nearly as much. Translation? Unless you're awesome at timing a sprint from the back, don't waste your watts trying to snatch a fastest through segment. This won't win you the race unless you're nowhere near the front, in which case, go full beast mode. There are 2 sprint segments per lap. Multiply that by 3 laps and boom, 6 sprints in total. 8 if you're in A or B. The Boardwalk sprint. Length, 240 meters. A and B will do this in roughly 10 to 15 seconds. C and D will do this in about 15 to 25 seconds. My take on sprint positioning. Whilst the Boardwalk sprint is only 240 meters long and flat, there is a 400 meter false flat leading up to it, which creeps up to about 1.5%. The pace of the group will pick up leading into this from the downhill before the road begins to turn left and flatten out. Those not paying attention will get caught out here, and if you aren't on the front by the time the road straightens up, you've missed your chance. Power-up scenarios. The aero power-up lasts for 15 seconds. For all categories, I would fire this at the second bend when the road begins to straighten to the banner. You don't want to cross the finish with your aero still active. Ideally, your aero boost power-up will have finished about 50 meters before the line. Steamroller. Now, if you've got the steamroller, it lasts 30 seconds, but it's not going to help you on tarmac. So I would fire this after you begin descending from the Mekile climb. Hammer down and try to open a gap up before hitting the sprint segment, and then sit in on the wheels of those firing their aero boosts around you. It's not perfect, but it'll give you a fighting chance of staying with the front group and maybe snatching some foul points, especially towards the end of the race. Tidepool sprint, length 310 meters. A and B will do this in 15 to 20 seconds. C and D will do this in 20 to 30 seconds. My take on sprint positioning. The Tidepool sprint takes place on sand, which, as we know, has the same rolling resistance as tarmac. So the aero boost power-up rules here. There are no features before the segment to consider, so it all comes down to timing. I will say that the segment does descend down ever so slightly. Power up scenarios. Aero boost. I'd fire the aero boost probably just after you pass the sprint beacon, so sooner rather than later. Zwift rewards an early sprint, which means that trying to get over the top of someone going full gas is a difficult task. Again, you want the aero to run out before you get to the finish to maximize its effect. Steamroller. If you have this power up, sucks to be you. There's no point in using it here. It will not make any difference. I mean, you could fire it before the sprint segment and see what you get through the sprint banner, or you could hold on to it and use it as you begin to go up the dirt segment, the Mech Isle climb, which is only 1 kilometer after the sprint finishes. This could be a good spot to try and drop some tired sprint legs, especially towards the second half of the race. Breakaway strategies. The Mech Isle climb really starts at the wooden bridge, completes a 360-degree loop, and finishes at the second metal bridge. Is it metal? Overall, it's only 500 meters or so and averages around 4%. But it is dirt, so on tired legs, it's going to feel like disappointment and make you second-guess your life decisions. If you're hoping to force a breakaway, this is a great place to do it in my opinion, especially if you have the steamroller power-up. I would fire this as you begin to descend. Tired sprinters' legs on road wheel sets will be burning, and to them, it will feel like they're riding through quicksand as you are riding off into the distance. Remember to keep the hammer down until you hit the flat spot on the boardwalk sprint. Last lap strategy. If this is the last lap and you have a steamroller power-up, I would fire it halfway up the climb around the back of the loop. At that point, there is just under 2 kilometers left, and it could be enough to break the spirit of those trying to hold on, allowing you to coast to victory. But keep in mind that once the descent is finished, you're back on tarmac. Those riders that received an aero boost and were disciplined enough to still have it are going to try and use your draft to their advantage and fire it as they come past the pens for the last time. There's a link to my race notes in the description below, which you can print out and have next to you. Give me a thumbs up in the comments if you've downloaded them. Bike upgrades are enabled in all ZRL races. Sure, this might be controversial, but I like it. If Zwift is going to build bike upgrades into their ecosystem, then its most popular race series should be able to take advantage of them. Bike choices. With so much sand riding like tarmac, you're basically dealing with a tarmac plus dirt course. If you're thinking that there's an argument for a gravel bike in this race, stop it. Remember that the sand is a bait and switch. Gravel gains on dirt don't outweigh the losses on tarmac and sand. Less than a third of the course would benefit from having a gravel bike. You are going to have to find an extra 36-ish watts just to stay with the pack. If you're a sprinter, stick with a fast aero road setup. Think the S-Works, the SL8 or the Venge with discs, or maybe the Tron. If you're targeting finishing points, I'd go with the Dogma and the new NV 4.5 Pro wheel set, if you can afford them. It will help save some bullets on the Mech Isle climbs. Bottom line, aero all the way and pray for some steamrollers on the dirt. And remember, the race is all about timing. Stay in the wheels in the dirt, save your bullets, and let the sprinters blow up early while you cruise past on the last climb. Classic Zwift carnage. Workouts. Here are my 2 suggested workouts you can use to help find the extra firepower you're going to need to dominate in this race. For the sprinters, I suggest the Power Intervals #1 workout. Those 6x2 min ramps of red will really help focus the legs, giving you a chance of going a bit earlier than your opponents and securing those precious foul points. For those looking to finish strong, I'd recommend the Marianne Vos TT workout or the other Lionel Sanders Green Day workout. Both have solid blocks of pain, red, to help sharpen your iron and tune your engine for a podium finish. So there you have it, fine and sandy. A course that looks terrifying but rides surprisingly smooth, provided you don't overthink it. 3 or 4 laps, a bunch of sprints, and a whole lot of pain for, let's be honest, bragging rights on Messenger afterwards. Good luck to everyone racing in ZRL this week. May your legs feel fresh, your power-ups be aero, and your steamrollers be useful. Hit that like button if this helped you plan your suffering. Subscribe for more recons and let me know in the comments, are you going all in for the sprints or playing the long game for the finishing points?